What's up? How's it going?
Oh shoot, it's about to start.
How's it going, guys? What's up, man? All right, guys. What y'all know good tonight? Y'all okay? All right. Thank you, Noah, for turning on camera. Come on, ladies. Y'all want to join us, man? Y'all gonna hide? I would like to. That way, y'all can ask some questions. I promise I won't be ugly. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Miss Martinez. Yeah, y'all gotta ask some questions. Everybody find the book okay? Y'all got the book? Okay, Noah's got the book. Catherine's got the book. Not sure about Kayla and Hannah Woods. All right. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all get to ask questions for the class. I was hoping we'd have a few more. I think we got about 24 people in the class. I'm probably gonna cut my Hawaiian background off for a minute. Y'all like the beach in the back? Because I keep disappearing with it. So let me cut that off. That's probably a distraction. We'll go to reality now. Here's a brutal reality with my messy office. Does that look more realistic? I got my muscle man over here. My Grizzlies didn't get a top 4 pick while ago. Sorry, we were delaying this for a minute because they had the lottery pick tonight. The Grizzlies didn't get a pick early, but they got rid of a draft pick we owed the Boston Celtics. So that's all good. Where's Kayla? How's Kayla today? Now, seriously, guys, look, there's going to be about 4 or 5 of y'all. So if something don't make no sense, please stop me, okay? Okay, do I need to show y'all where the book is? Everybody got the book? Okay, because I've had people emailing me crazy about the book, about the code. They don't know, they can't find anything. It's awful. Meltdown. Everybody good? Y'all found it right in the connect area? I have not got the questions to chapter 2 up. I plan on doing that tomorrow. I don't have any classes, so I'm going to work on this class tomorrow and Saturday, okay? I'm going to mute y'all so I won't get any back. But y'all, all you got to do is hold the space bar down to ask a question. Or you can, down on the left, you can, by your name, you can click on it and y'all can jump in there. So I don't mind y'all talking at all and asking questions. There's my rock star, Miss Connor. What's up? So please, y'all ask questions. We're going to go through chapter 1. And I know this is kind of weird. I'm not used to having the class in 2 groups. So Tuesday, we kind of did the rules and didn't really get to any biology. But today, I actually got into a little bit of biology and had a little bit of fun, which is what I like to do, is talk about the biology stuff. Y'all look at that girl, woman after my own heart. Okay, real quick. I'll pick another time if it's a better time to do this, but I'm going to give y'all extra clues because y'all got on here, right? Okay. But here's the thing. You don't have to do the study guide. That's just something extra that another teacher uses. And I think all of those questions are answered in her PowerPoint, which I think is kind of redundant to rewrite all that. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have, but some people want to do that. So I just put that out there, and it's in chapter 1. I went and looked at that review sheet 1, but it's a lot of work. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. The PowerPoint I put up is the one I'm going to go by right now. But I do appreciate y'all. Let me look at y'all because that way I can see if y'all getting it. Okay? Because if you're just a picture up there, I can't see y'all. So, and actually, I'm hoping next semester we will do synchronous at 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I wish this is what we did every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 o'clock. But the schedule got messed up, and some people are in 11 o'clock with me on Tuesday, and then they got English on Thursday because the system let them book 2 11 o'clock classes. So I really appreciate y'all looking. I didn't figure we'd have a big crowd, but hey, just 4 or 5 students can make this a lot more fun for me. And I'll fly through this and kind of jump around. I mean, I'm going to go straight to the book, but if I get on something and talk about it for a while, obviously we're going to answer those 5 questions, right? And some of those, y'all should answer your own opinion on that, okay? Is everybody cool? Any questions before we dive in? So I will try to be, I mean, I'm going to have a little fun, but we'll be about an hour. And if we get into chapter 2, that's fine too, right? I would like to do, I don't think I'm going to do both of them tonight. I think that would be too much. But we might do another one over the weekend, okay? Anybody got a question before we dive in? Thank y'all for taking your Thursday night and let me do this, okay? And I hope y'all don't mind. Your picture may be, actually, I don't think it'll show up on the recording because I'm finna now flip it off of y'all over to the PowerPoint, but I can still see y'all. It's just y'all won't have to, you will not be, everybody else will be seeing you, okay? If I get this right, and I'm like I give myself a 7 on technology. See, so I can now, on my right screen, I can see all of y'all. Voila. Maybe we'll have a few more come in. All right. And get you something to drink. I've got Diet Coke and some water and some ice cream. My daughter made some brownies before she goes off to Ole Miss tomorrow. So I went and got ice cream a while ago at the Walgreens before I came in here. Okay. Can y'all see the PowerPoint okay? Do y'all see the PowerPoint? Okay. I'm looking for something on mine. Just a second. I'm having a little bit of issues on mine. I should be seeing mine should look a little bit different here. Okay, hang on. Okay, y'all still see it? Okay, hang on. I figured this out this summer. I've got to do a little maneuvering over here with my stuff. That's not what I'm looking for. Hang on. All right. I'm trying to figure out how I can change the pages on this thing. Y'all give me a second. It's here somewhere. Gotta love it. We got a few coming in. That's fine. Just a second. Love technology when it doesn't work. Hang on. I got to figure this out. Where did I put this? All right, now I got control. Okay, now I got it. All right, I'm trying to get this other space bar out of the way. Here, I'll move that out of the way. All right, so chapter 1. There we go. It's acting weird. This is our book, and I'm really excited about this book. I think y'all going to enjoy this class. I think the book's going to be good. Like I said, I read chapter 1 and thought it was way better than some of the other books I've used in the past. So I'm very optimistic about this going well. There we go. Now I can see y'all. All right, but let's just run through it and we'll kind of go through it. Okay, so it's broken down in 3 parts, and a lot of this is old stuff. So I'm going to go talk pretty fast, but I think it's something you should already know. But these characteristics of life is the first part. Then evolution, which is one of the main themes of biology, even though it's controversial, people get mad about it. And then classification of life, and then the process of science. And that kind of goes to the scientific method question I asked y'all on the short answer questions. And then challenges facing science, okay? So always start out a biology class by defining the term of the class. So biology is broken down from the Greek word, ology means study, and bio means study of life. So biology then is nothing but the study of life, okay? And so it's obviously my favorite topic, right, of education, okay? And then all living things then, and this is going to be chapter 2, are composed of different elements, right? And we all have to abide by these laws of physics. So how many of y'all, I love sci-fi and all this kind of stuff, but ain't no alien going to hover over the White House and not have some kind of exhaust. You know what I mean? Blowing down steam, or like, have you ever been there seen under a helicopter? You got to have, so they're breaking some laws of physics there, right? So we believe everything in the natural universe has to abide by the rules of physics, okay? Until the alien comes in on Independence Day and blows up the White House, we're going to go with our laws of physics as we know it, okay? So that's kind of cool to me, right? So everybody's got to abide those laws. And we have found no other chemicals than those 92 that exist on Earth. We're actually right now, I think the Europeans are landing on a meteorite or like a comet, and they're going to pull a sample out of it and bring it back to Earth, which could be kind of dangerous. But we're not going to find, I don't think we'll find any elements that we haven't already seen, okay? That's kind of cool. Now, probably the coolest things about biology is the tremendous amount of diversity. And we will spend several chapters in this book on looking at the different naming of the organisms. And I'm just going to tell y'all right off the bat that this is the most boring thing to me in biology. And getting to be the teacher, we're going to skim that more than other teachers. I got a couple teachers probably spend 30%, 40% of the course on it. I'm going to spend about 10%. I'm going to make sure you know what you need to know, but a lot of this changing is continuously changing. And I found it to be kind of discouraging. When I first started teaching this class about 6 years ago, I think there was 2 names out of 100 that they were the same as when I took it. And I'm like, dang, okay. So they have completely redone the taxonomy, and we'll talk about that. But here are just several of our different big 5 groups of kingdoms of living things, or actually now it's domains, but anyway. But when I took this, we talked about 5 kingdoms: the bacteria, paramecium, fungi, plants, and animals. And what we have discovered is that those bacteria were all lumped together. I made a joke about this day in my class today about it being a little racial profiling, right? But they looked all the same, so they lumped them together. But in reality, what we're going to find out that the bacteria are broken into 2 groups: these regular bacteria and these archaeobacteria. And we are closer kin to the archaeo than they are to each other. And that's pretty wild based on DNA fingerprinting. So the same DNA technology that we put people to death in America, in our states that have the death penalty, says that you and I are kin to the pine tree, and we're closer kin to a certain group of bacteria than the regular bacteria are to them. And that is pretty fascinating to me, and we'll talk about that. I think y'all find that really intriguing as we go forward through this. But tremendous amount of diversity, millions of species of living things, millions haven't even been discovered, haven't even been classified yet. So there's hundreds and thousands that have not been named, and we'll talk about that. Okay, now I love this next little thing, and I don't see this as a big short answer question, but I see some terms here on this on the midterm or on the homework that you got to do. But I'm going to skip to the I'm a picture kind of guy. Okay, so I'm going to skip to the pictures. But all living things on Earth are made out of atoms, and there are only 92 original different atoms that make up the entire Earth, and we think the entire universe. So think of it like this: there's what, 27, 28 letters in English, right? I can't remember, you know, A, B, C, D, element, all that. Well, all of those make the words, right? Well, in the language of life, there are 92 different individual tinker toys or Lego blocks that make everything in the universe. Now, I used to use the Lego box, and some girl a couple years ago didn't know what that was. So if y'all want me to have a box, I'll bring the light lecture next week if y'all don't know what Lego blocks are. But they're like old man version of Legos. So the Lincoln Logs or whatever, you know, tinker toys are a building block kind of like Legos. But I think with the Lego movies, y'all know what Legos are. So atoms are the simplest thing. They come together to form molecules. So you mix these together, like hydrogen and oxygen, you make water. Here we have a molecule of methane and an atom of oxygen. Molecules come together. Now this is the big jump here, but molecules come together to build the building blocks of life. Now I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, and I'll get carried away with this. So I'm going to get through chapter 1, because I can talk forever on some of this. The problem with chapter 1, a lot of times, it's a preview chapter of the whole freaking book. So I just kind of go through it, right? So it's mainly just terms here, but that is a big jump from unliving molecules to living cells. Okay, do y'all agree? That's a big move, and we don't know how that happens exactly. We have not been able to create life in the laboratory yet, which y'all might find really interesting. We have not created life yet, but we're getting close, and we'll talk about that later in another chapter. But that's a big one. The cell is the smallest unit of life. That's a big term to know. Cells come together to form tissues, which are a group of cells working together for a common function like muscle or nerve, connective tissues. And you can see there's some nerve cells. There's some plant cells. That is a layer of nerve tissue there, and that is a layer of, what are those? Those are just a bunch of plant cells. Okay, never mind. Okay, the tissues come together to form organs. So Miss Connor, when she took A&P last year, that whole book was based on what? The different systems of organs, right? So the whole book in A&P is based on that. We have a little mini A&P and A&P 2, excuse me, in Majors Biology 2 next semester. So it's probably about a fourth of the class is a little quick A&P that Miss Connor will make 100 on very quickly because she knows all that. But so organs come together to form organ systems, right? Here we have the plant shoot system, and that carry nutrients up and down a plant on the right. And I do have a cursor I can point over here, and I need to do a little bit, figure out a better way to do this. I'm sure there's a program that I can overlay with this. And here is the nervous system of this elephant, okay? And then, of course, organ systems come together to form organisms. Organisms come together to form a population of species, right? So we have the plant and the elephants, right? So species, all the species, a bunch of organisms of the same type living in a given area is a population. So there's a population of elephants and trees in this, looks like African safari or savanna, excuse me. And then a community is all the different populations in a given area. Okay? So the community is all the different populations in a given area. And then a population is all of the like organisms, all the humans, all the dogs, all the cats in this given area. So these are some really big words. These are really famous because these are a lot of ecology terms, right? We'll talk about population genetics. We'll talk about species and how species form. Now we're going to jump up one more. An ecosystem is all the populations, excuse me, the community and the non-living part. So all the populations make the community, and then the rocks and the dead and the soil and the things that are not alive. Now, the beautiful thing I love about ecosystem is that can scale up, as we'll see in a minute, or it can scale down to my large intestine ecosystem, okay? Or the ecosystem on my fingernail. Or we can scope it up to what's called the biosphere, the entire part of Earth where life can exist. So I'll take a second and let y'all kind of look at these terms. So biosphere is the entire part of Earth where life can exist. An ecosystem is a defined area with all the non-living and living components. The living components are the community, and that's a list of all the species or all the populations which are a specific species in that given area. I would normally in a classroom talk about, let's say, like where we meet at Math and Science 105 has a rat that runs through there once in a while. There's some roaches in there. There's a few bugs, right? There's some foot fungus that Miss Connor brought to class the other day, right? And I'm sure we've had, some other bacteria, all come through there on our teeth and everything. So think about that. And so he can scale up and down. But those are really cool terms. Everybody cool with that? I mean, those are pretty easy, right? Nothing hard yet. I did some of the other chapters get a little bit more evil, but this is a pretty easy one. And here they are defined for you here in the PowerPoint, which is pretty cool, right? Now, another thing that Miss Connor would probably tell y'all is that I've been known, and I don't know how I'm going to do this on my midterm, but I probably will end up putting a few terms on there for y'all to write them out. I actually like terms on my regular test where you would have to I might give you the word community and you'd have to define it. And that way you can use your own kind of verbiage, right? Mississippian or whatever your language you speak. And I can probably convert that from, this high level science language and sometimes in these books. But I do think this book reads really well. So those are good terms there. Obviously, we'll see some of them later. Okay? Everybody cool with that part? I mean, that's pretty straightforward, right? Now, the second part of the chapter is a little bit another one. It's not a big high level thing. I mean, it's a big deal, but I'm not going to make it a 20-point question on task. But these are some of the characteristics of living things. And this is pretty cool. And most biology books will have a list of these. So think about what living things have to do. And one of the ways we can determine if something is alive or not alive, it has to do these different things. For example, the first one, life requires materials and energy. So where do we get our materials? We eat somebody, right? And we break them down into the building blocks, those elements that we saw earlier, those tissues, and then we use those tissues and those molecules to make us. So the old cliche, you are what you eat, is exactly true. For about 25 years of my life, I had a Diet Coke and a bag of Cheetos for breakfast. I call it the breakfast of champions. Okay? That's probably why I'm not as healthy as I should be, right? But I know people that weigh out their protein and measure everything they eat. I'm probably going to start a diet here in a couple of weeks. Last time I lost about 100 pounds, I used that Fitbit and what's the app? One of the apps that does it. You just put all your food in. It is very shocking when I put all my food in, saw what I ate in a day, right? And it told down to the milligrams of sodium and chlorine that was in my diet. It was fascinating that I was eating too much salt. So you can learn a lot about that, right? But energy is another famous word. It's in the physics. That's the capacity to do work. So we have to have energy to do work. And that energy is in these food molecules that we eat. I know I've said this before, but there's power in the bonds in sugar. And we'll see in a couple of chapters that our body, most living organisms, eat sugar and break it down for energy. Okay? And we'll get into that. So metabolism is another cool term here. All the chemical reactions in your body that are involved in getting this energy and releasing it in the cell. So all the chemical reactions that occur in the body is a fancy term the fancy definition for metabolism. Now, I bet that some of y'all know, and some of y'all can eat all day long and never gain a pound because y'all are young and y'all's metabolism is real high. I can look at a donut and gain a pound because my metabolism is real slow. And I can tell you that one way that you'll see it is when you get a little older, your metabolism will really slow down. And if you want to see it slow down real good, get married and have 2 or 3 kids. It'll really slow down, right? But that's when you got to go start jogging and stuff and working out. But we'll spend a lot of time talking about energy in here, and there's a big couple of chapters coming up in Majors 1. So we'll cover that this semester. The second point here is kind of cool. The sun is the ultimate source of energy for notice the word nearly all life on Earth. And this is kind of scary because I'm a vegetarian. I'm not a vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian. You know, but the cow ate the grass and we ate the cow. And the grass gets its energy from the sun. So everything pretty much above the ground is dependent upon the sun. Okay. Now there are some underwater organisms living in the bottom of the ocean where the heat from the core of the energy from the earth, the heat from the magma of the earth produce enough heat for them to live off that. They're getting their energy from the magma of the earth, not from the sun. And there are a couple of other bacteria and some of the weird archaeobacteria that can live off of eating iron and eating methane gas and eating specific chemicals that are not related to the sun. But we are dependent on the plants to make sugar for us so we can eat them or eat somebody else that ate them like a cow or pig or something like that. So I love it how they wrote that is the nearly all life on Earth. Okay? And that's important. Plants do photosynthesis, we know that, and they can take sunlight and carbon dioxide and make sugar. We're going to cover that. Miss Connor will enjoy that. She hadn't had that before. That'll be a little something new for her because that's not in the A&P. Says we don't have no chloroplast, so we don't do photosynthesis, right? Okay, and then we'll talk about how energy flows through an ecosystem, right? And we'll talk about that. Really cool. A lot of that in ecology about how the nutrients fall. And I hate to say this, but what happens when somebody dies? Or a plant dies? Their elements are decomposed back to those 92 elements, right? And then they're recycled by somebody else. So Lion King, that circle of life is really true. We pick up atoms in our food and we use them, and then when we die, they go back to the pool, the random pool of elements. Pretty cool. It talks about that. So decomposers bring these living molecules back down to elements that can be reused. Okay. And here's a picture kind of showing this. This is an ecosystem model, and just take a look. So the sunlight hits the plants, and they do photosynthesis and make biomass that the rabbit eats. And every time you have an energy transfer, you lose some of that to heat. And then this hawk is going to eat that rabbit, and he's at the top of the food chain. And every time that energy transfers, you get less and less going to the hawk. So you can't have 1,000 coyotes on a farm because they would starve to death. So the top of the food chain has less of those individuals. And when that rabbit dies, or the carcass after the hog eats it, the fungi and bacteria would decompose it back down to the chemical elements that everybody needs. So to me, one of the coolest things here is that God did recycling when he made Earth. Earth is all about recycling. We didn't figure that out in the 60s and 70s and 80s about recycling. And we are the inventors of pollution. Did y'all know that? Nature doesn't pollute. We make pollution, which are chemicals that we chunk out that stay the same for thousands of years that won't decompose. As a matter of fact, here is one of the great inventions of man that is pollution, plastic. This plastic has a half-life of like 100,000 years, okay? And so when we do plastic like that, it will be with us for a long time, right? And so we need to think about that, you know, when we think about, or Mr. Noah with his water bottle, which is also cool. That's a good example of plastic, right? That doesn't, and they make some of those now that will break down, Noah, which I don't buy because they're too expensive. So I'm with you. So I hate calling out. I mean, you know, we all are being kind of crazy in the way we do things. But this is a really good ecosystem picture of just like a little, I guess, a grassland or something. Pretty cool. All right, now here's another concept. So just look, let's back up. So all living things require materials and energy, right? That makes sense. Okay, and then energy flows through an ecosystem. And here's another characteristic of living things. We maintain homeostasis. Now that's a word, that'd be a new word for a couple of y'all. Homeostasis is a term that means to maintain an internal conditions within certain boundaries, or to maintain internal conditions, like your 98.6 degree temperature, right? I got a thermometer school bought me, so if you look sick, I can pop you, and if it's 104, you got to go home, right? Or 102.7, or whatever the number is. Because body temperature is a homeostatic mechanism that we maintain in our body, which is kind of cool. Everybody with me? Isn't that kind of cool? All right. And look at that. It's imperative that an organism maintains a state of biological balance in their body. We have to have oxygen levels. If they fall too low, we die. Okay. And we have to have certain elements, vitamins, and nutrients in our bloodstream, or we get sick. Okay. So to me, that's kind of cool. We'll talk more about homeostasis. It's a big deal in the body system, in the body systems. Okay. Look at this next one. Living things respond to the stimuli. This is one of my favorite things. This separates us from physics and chemistry. Biology is a study of life. And I think I used the metaphor the other day in here with y'all maybe on Tuesday, but I'll use it again. If we all went home and kicked a dog in the face, how would that dog respond? My dog would just roll over and probably cry and run off. You know, Miss Connor's dog might bite my leg off, and Miss Langston's dog probably show me where she hides her money, you know, in the house. I mean, everybody's dog responds differently, right? Okay, and I hate to think about it, but I mean, how many of y'all been like, you're seeing kids get sugar for the first time, you know, get a regular Coke for the first time. They go crazy, right? We respond differently to drugs, right? Legal and illegal drugs, right? So everybody responds differently, and that's what makes that's what makes life so fun to study, because you never know what's going to happen, right? You just don't know. So we all interact with our environment and hopefully with each other, right? And that's cool. Now, hey, I don't know parents calling me tonight, but this is one of the chapters we're going to talk about in the second half, right? And actually, we talk about it early on, too, because of cell division. But all living things reproduce. Most people have in their DNA is to make them want to have children. Some people don't want to have children, but a lot of people in our DNA, in our personalities, make us want to have children. So all living things reproduce to maintain the population, to replace the organisms, right? And that's a very cool area. That was actually my master's degree was in reproductive physiology. I was being very honest. I thought when I first took this class, the most interesting chapter was reproductive chapter, right? Why not study it? So I actually worked in that field for a couple of years. And then we all developed. And we've all had a little brother, sister, or cousin, or seen a child grow. Think about how an infant turns into an adult over 18, 19 years. Or in some cases of some of us, 20 to 30 years, right? Okay, so we have to develop, okay? And we're going to talk quite a bit about different forms of reproduction. There is sexual reproduction, asexual reproduction, and we'll talk about that. Here's a cool term. A gene is a set of gene is a set of instructions that we pass to our children in the sperm and eggs that we give toward our children. That will then pass along some of our traits to the next generation. So they're about I think it's about 24,000 genes now. So a gene is defined as a piece of DNA that codes for a particular protein. So I am ugly because I got some bad DNA that made me express some proteins that made me ugly. Some of y'all got some genes that said you're going to be cute. And so lucky y'all, okay? So all of our traits that are genetic are controlled by the DNA that we get from our mother and dad. So you are a mix of your mother and daddy. And that's pretty wild when you think about that. Okay? And we're going to talk quite a bit about that. Those chapters are early on in the book. So we're going to have quite a fun with that. So DNA is the chemical that makes the genes, right? Deoxyribonucleic acid, right? And that in that is our secret code to tell all life on Earth how to form the different life. So the difference between me and a pine tree is the different genes that they have that we don't have. But they share a lot with us too. And we'll talk about how they share genes with us. To give y'all a little fun one here, us and the chimpanzee are 99.9% the same. So that's pretty wild. It's a very little difference between a chimpanzee and the human genome. Okay, now here's where we're going to get into a little bit of evolution. But living things have the ability to adapt to their environment. Has anybody ever adapted to their environment? Okay, I'll give you a bad story. Okay, so when I was in kindergarten, I didn't understand about rules and stuff, right? The teacher would say, everybody go get in line to go to the cafeteria. I would let everybody line up and I walk to the front of the line because I'm Robin and I'm the king of the world, right? And she would take a ruler and beat me in the head and the butt and the back till I finally figured out to go get in the back of the line. And then when she said get in line, if I wanted to be at the front, I had to what? Go up there when she said get in line. And I probably drove that lady crazy, but she's probably why I'm not in jail today, right? I adapted to my environment. Okay, and over time, sometimes these adaptations can lead to evolution, right? So an adaptation is any modification that makes an organism better able to function in a particular environment. So I learned not to be a troublemaker, and I didn't get beat too much. And look at this, diversity of life exists because over long periods of time, organisms responded to changing environment and developed new adaptations. And so the word evolution is defined as change in a population of their DNA of an organism over time to become more suited to their environment. Now, when this thing was first thought about, one of the first guys who come up with it, it was guys. Women are going to come into power and come into more prominence in science. But early in the 1700s, women were not treated fairly on this planet, right? To be honest with y'all were treated as property of your parents, right, or your dad, right? Really, really terrible stuff. So we've come a long way, right, with equal rights and equal, gender equality and all that. And I really believe in all that. But think about this, man. Evolution then led to a change in organisms. And here's the point I'm trying to make. This first guy thought, well, maybe if I jump real hard, my children will jump better. We'll be better at basketball. Well, that's not how this works. You can't make yourself better so your children will be better. Instead, these changes are random phenomenon. So let's say Noah was born tall, so that makes him a better basketball player. And Maya was not born tall, or is tall. I don't know how tall she is, but let's say Maya is not tall. So Noah has an advantage playing basketball, right? If he's playing center. Robin probably will not be center. I was 5 foot tall when I graduated from high school. That is not a very tall basketball center. Matter of fact, that would be a very bad. Okay. So does that make Noah or Maya better than Robin? No, it's just randomly how it happened, right? Now, if your parents are taller, there's a chance you might get some tall genes from them. But remember, a lot of it's really random, and you never know what the combination is going to make. I think one of my favorite things, how many of y'all watch some of these beauty contests like Miss America? I've been to beauty, ever seen the mom and dad? Sometimes they just ugly as can be, right? How does that happen, right? Well, sometimes, ugly makes Miss America, okay? You just never know how the DNA is going to, how the witch's brew is going to form a child. But a lot of debates, and I'm going to save some of this for chapter later in LA, but this is a huge controversial topic in biology, especially in the South, where we have, I think, a very good, religious groups. A lot of religion is very important in the South, which I think it's important too. But sometimes I think people have gotten a little carried away with what they think they know about evolution, what they don't. But we'll talk about it and try to make it make sense to us. So it is real. It is the change in a population over time to give them a better chance of surviving. Okay, and we'll talk about that some more. Okay, I love that picture there. Look at that, kind of cool. They're having a nice day. All right, so evolution and the classification of life. Okay, so the theory of evolution explains the diversity and unity of life. It suggests how all living things descend from a common ancestor, and that common descent is with modification. And so we're 99.99% sure we're all kin to each other, right? I mean, I'm talking about all humans we are, but also all living things. And this DNA has been, in my lifetime, has proven that. So when I first started college, it was still highly arguable about what was going on here. But the DNA don't lie, and it has been fascinating to me. And that brings us to our first character here, I guess, in biology. Charles Darwin is given credit with writing the first book and coming up with this theory of natural selection as the evolutionary mechanism to lead to all this diversity. And very simply put, I'm just going to read it here. I don't normally read from y'all because y'all big boys and girls, y'all can read, but I'll kind of read it here. Some of the aspects of environmental selection, which traits are more apt to be passed on to the next generation. Individuals with a favorable trait produce a greater number of offsprings that survive and reproduce. And over time, this increases the frequency of those favorable traits in a population. Okay? And so mutations then fuel natural selection, right? So mutations are new traits. I mean, think about this. And I actually, I'm going to say this, and I don't want to ever hurt anybody's feelings, and I don't think, and just make sure y'all understand where I'm coming from, that I don't think any group of people on earth are more important or above anybody else. Okay? That's why I'm not a big fan of, how many of y'all like the royal family, watching all that idiot stuff in England, right? About, Princess Di and all that, all the, whatever the lady is now. I mean, hey man, get a job, okay? Get a job, right? I don't believe in kings and queens and royalty, okay? Y'all with me, okay? But what he's saying here though is that mutations will allow for new forms of a gene, and if it's a gene that we need, like the thumb, then it becomes the norm over time, okay? And that nobody is above anybody else. Nobody has, we all have the same equal rights, okay, and equality in that sense. So let's see if I can think of a good example. What would be a good example we could relate? And let's do this. Let's do it. I'm going to do this. This is really bad, but I'm going to do it real quick. How many of y'all seen Gilligan's Island? You everybody familiar with that TV show? Maya, you heard of it? Oh my gosh. Okay, you got to get on Netflix and watch that. It's like one of the greatest shows ever. Basically, here's the scenario. There's 7 people on a boat, and they get stranded on an island, and they can never get off. Okay, we got let me see, the skipper, the driver of the boat's an idiot. His first mate is Gilligan, who's the star of the show, and he's goofy. Then there is a husband and wife millionaire. They're like 70 years old. They can't have kids. And then there's a smoking hot redhead and a smoking hot brunette, 2 beautiful women on the boat with them, and they're all stuck on the island. So here's my question to you. If we get those 7 people stuck on Gilligan's Island and we come back in 1,000,000 years, what's everybody on Gilligan's Island going to look like? And there's a professor. Oh yeah, there's a really smart college professor. So you got Gilligan, idiot first mate, idiot pilot, the skipper, 2 rich people, 2 smoking hot girls, and that's 7 people, the professor. What traits are going to evolve? I've sat in a dorm room in college and debated this. I'm very ready to debate this. So how would all that millions of dollars help the 2 rich people? They die, they get buried, and they just have a tomb to the Mr. and Miss Howell, I believe, on the show. And they're too old to reproduce. She is, and his money won't buy nothing on this island. Skipper, nobody likes Skipper. But the professor is pretty good looking, and he's smart, and he can do all this stuff because he's an engineer. He's got all this mechanical knowledge. And I'm sorry, but Ginger and Joanne are smoking hot. I think there's going to be a whole bunch of good-looking, smart people on that island in 1,000,000 years. Maybe enough to figure out how to get off the island. And so it's a bad, funny comedy because they always almost get off the island every week. So anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll do another. I got another example I'll do in lecture when we get to evolution. But that's just one of my fun things I like to think about. But Darwin, we'll talk about him. He was a first mate, the science officer it's almost like a Star Trek, on a mission to go around Earth, to boldly go where no man's gone before. And as he went around South America and around the entire Earth, he collected animals, and when he started measuring and looking at them, he saw a lot of similarities between the birds in the Galapagos Islands off of the west coast of South America and the birds that he saw in England. And then he goes home. He's almost y'all's age, 24. And he goes home and he works on this book for like 20, 25 years. And finally he publishes it called The Origin of Species. And his society online claims it's the most read book on earth. I hope the Bible is, but it's at least top 2 or 3 probably. It is real famous. And the cool thing about this is you can go to that online and get a download for free. And it's kind of like, you know, it's in English because he was an Englishman, so it's in English, so we can read it. And I've read most of it myself, and I downloaded a copy that his wife, who was his proofreader, had put notes in it, and it was kind of funny. Like she put a note in here, like, "You gonna get us killed, man? You lost your mind? They gonna throw us out of church, okay?" Which I think they got thrown out of church over some of this, okay? But I do find it kind of interesting that he was Catholic, and that 100 years after he died, the Pope declared that. And by the way, I'm not Catholic, but I have respect for everybody's religion. The Pope is God on earth, I understand from my Catholic friends. So if the Pope says something, it's truth. And he said that Darwin stumbled upon the fingerprints of God, and that God used evolution to make all this diversity on earth. That's what we call a 180, right? Be like me coming to class tomorrow weighing 135 pounds, right? That would be a big change, right? Okay, and that ain't happening, okay? That's not gonna happen, okay? But it was a big deal back then, okay? And still, I got friends of mine, I can just go to church and say the word Charles Darwin, they get mad, okay? So, but read the man's book. Don't take my word for it. Read his book. Make up your own mind on that book. It's a good read, okay? I spent enough time on that. And here's a good example they use better than Gilligan's Island, since Maya hadn't seen Gilligan's Island, okay? But I think you would like it. Okay? But here, let's see if this deer likes to eat soft, the plants with a population of various leaf structure, and she really likes the smooth ones, right? So she likes the smooth ones, right? A diet of smooth leaves. What happens to all the hairy ones? They're gonna take over, right? And after a time, she ain't got nothing to eat, right? Because they ain't getting eaten. So if you got a trait that keeps you from getting eaten by the predators, then you have a better chance of survival. Here's a funny one, and I actually have a minor in archaeology and sociology. Indiana Jones, you know, Radar Lost Art. I have a minor in that. And here's one from that class I thought was kind of cool. The Hopi Indians of Arizona are a tribe of Indians, the real Americans, the first American tribe, and they have the highest percentage of albinoism of anywhere else on the world, pretty much. So the Hopi Indians are like, I don't know, I'm making this number up, 5-6% albino, meaning they have no skin pigmentation, and if they get in sun, they will die. You know, they could get cancer real easy. So they have no skin color. And the archaeologists couldn't figure out why. Well, here's what they discovered. And it's kind of funny. If you're and this is real hot, by the way, in Arizona where they live, and they farmed and hunted or whatever. So if you were a albino male or female, you couldn't go out and work with all the men. So you stayed back in the cave with the women, and shazam, you happen to have a whole lot more kids than everybody else because the husbands were away working and you were guarding the women. Evolution. Okay. So that's a pretty cool story that's been, and the DNA has documented that from the samples of this group that's still alive. So over time, all the hairy leaves are going to dominate because this deer is not going to eat them. And that brings us to this tree of life, okay? And so, now this is the part I find really fun. Somewhere a long time ago on Earth, life came to be. And we have not figured that one out. Now, if you can figure that out, you can get your name in front of Charles Darwin real quick if you're the person to figure this out. So I hope I get to teach somebody that ends up doing something great in science. But we have yet to figure out how that first cell came about. But we're here, so we know that cell came about. But look at this. What we think now, this is the current theory, okay? And it's changed quite a bit in the 30 years I've been teaching. But we believe that the first living organism was probably a single cell bacteria. And over time, it broke into 2 groups. The regular bacteria that we think of like E. coli and that we fight for infections and all this stuff. And another group that you may not have heard of before called the archaeobacteria. Now, both of these are prokaryotes. We're going to talk about what that means. That means they don't have a nucleus. But when we got doing the DNA fingerprinting, we discovered that these guys are closer to us, the eukaryotes, which are all of the organisms that have a nucleus and all these cellular organelles we're going to talk about. But eukaryote, the word means true nucleus. And over these are prokaryotes, which means before nucleus. But the DNA is suggesting that our branch is closer to these guys than they are to each other. And so we actually had to rewrite the biology book about 20 years ago. Okay, I'm telling you, when I was teaching here, they had to throw this thing out and come up with a new scheme. And that's where we came up with these domains I was talking about in that question. So domains are higher levels. And the 3 domains are the bacteria, the archaeobacteria, and the eukaryotes. Okay? And we had to kind of break down those 2 apart because they're not kin to each other. Now, I love the archaeo, and I actually did a PhD I didn't finish on these guys because they can live in harsh environments. They can live. Has anybody been to Yellowstone National Park and seen the geysers and all the beautiful colors and stuff? Got to see it, Natalie. Got to go. Put that on your bucket list. I swear it's driving out there. They are bacteria, archaeobacteria that make it have that blue and red and green colors you see. They can live in acid. They can live in ice. They can live probably on the moons of Eupora. And I really believe there's life in our solar system, and hopefully we'll find it before I die. Because I don't think we're the only organisms in our solar system. Okay? And I'm pretty sure it would be a waste of space if there ain't nobody else out there watching, zooming somewhere tonight on another planet, right? Having class. Okay? But anyway, isn't that pretty cool? And then, of course, the protista came first. That's the single-celled organisms, right? Like the euglenas and the amoebas and stuff. And then plants, fungi, and animal. And we fall in this group. So the old 5 kingdoms when I took biology were bacteria, protistas, fungi, plants, and animals. And now we broke it down into these 3 different, there they are, bacteria, archaea, and eukaryote domains. And we stole that from the internet, and the domain was just coming out. The internet was coming out when this was renamed. So one thing right off the bat I want y'all to get is I love biology because we reserve the right to rewrite our book when we discovered we was wrong. Okay? And we're wrong quite often. Okay? And I think that's kind of cool. So we're not perfect. And I'll flick it through here and you can see there it is. And that's kind of what we think is the story of life on Earth. Okay? And then the taxonomy is the naming of all these organisms. And we have a system called systematics, is the study of evolutionary relationship between organisms, which is not one of my favorite things. It's probably because I never had a class in it. But we'll do my best to get you through this. And y'all have heard of this, right? Your genus, species name, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom, and now domain. So everybody has a full name of every. And when I was y'all's age in this class, we actually did a insect collection at Northeast. So you had to have like 100 insects all the way down to their entire classification name. And you had to have them ready to turn in by like December the 3rd. And the first frost, it got real nasty trying to find a bug. So you would be hustling today to name it and go in and round them up. And the teacher would even spray them with fluorescent dye so they could bring a black light in to see if you brought somebody's back from last year or bought them. Because there'd be always somebody out there selling insects out of the back of their car. Anyway, here's ours, just a little fun here. We're eukaryote, animal kingdom, phylum, chordate, mammal, primate, hominoid, Homo sapien. I love corn. We had corn on the cob the other night. Zea maize is a corn on the cob. Okay, pretty cool. All right, and there we go. Domain, here's our 3 domains, archaeo, bacteria, and eukaryote. Notice that the archaeo are prokaryotes and the bacteria are. They live extreme environments, right? The archaeo and the regular bacteria are the most common thing on planet Earth. Is anybody a germaphobe, a germ junkie? I mean, I know you are now with COVID and all this, but check this out. There are more bacteria on you and in you than there are Robin cells. So if Miss Martinez's body was a republic and we were going to vote for president, she would lose. She has more bacteria on her skin and her colon than there are Martinez cells. That's cray-cray, okay? Matter of fact, there was a book cover, and I kept it for years. It was a needle, like a sewing needle, with an electron microscope, and there was like 1,000 bacteria on that needle, on the tip of the needle, just the tip. So everywhere you touch is bacteria. Everything we eat is contaminated, people. And that's why God gave us, y'all ready? Watch. Fire. Fire is good. Cook your food and don't die, okay? So fire is good, okay? So that's why God gave us fire, to cook the food, to kill the bacteria on the food. I don't eat raw. How many of y'all like raw sushi? I ain't eating no raw fish, man. I don't think Mississippi people evolved to eat raw fish, okay? All right, moving on. See, I'm having too much fun. So here's those archaeo. Look, they're adapted to extreme environments. They can eat other organisms, or they can do chemosynthesis. And those are the ones I was telling you I work with that can eat methane gas. So they can eat iron. Hey, here's one to blow your mind. How many of y'all have ever seen like a screwdriver or a wrench, like a wrench, like a 3/4 inch wrench that got left out in the backyard for like 6 months? And you pick it up and it's red, right? It's rusted. Now we know that rust is an abiotic, non-living event, but we now know that there are bacteria in your backyard eating that screwdriver. And so at the General Motors and at Toyota, when they build a car, they spray antibiotic paint on the bottom of the car to keep your car from getting eaten by bacteria. Okay, for real. So there are archaeobacteria that can eat metal. Okay, so something to think about. Really crazy. I actually, when I was doing some research in this, I was working I was over at University of Auburn one day, and these guys said, "Y'all want to see our bacteria that can eat gasoline?" And I went, "Yeah." And they had discovered a bacteria in a farm lot, in a big old cow lagoon where all the poop's pushed, and they found one that could eat gas. And so they had a stainless steel, like, cattle feeder water tank, and they poured a gallon of unleaded gasoline in it, and it started bubbling as they ate the gas. And I thought, that is crazy. And so this could be used for what? A bio cleanup of an oil spill. Is that not cool? So there's a lot of crazy stuff out there. Bacteria, I think they get a bad name. Some of them are very helpful. They help break down organic matter, but of course, there are many that can cause diseases, right, that we talk about. Here's E. coli. That's the most famous one all over our body, and most of it's harmless, right? It's just some of those bad characters in this group that can kill us and make us sick. They are very simple in their body form, but they've adapted to all types of environment. They don't need oxygen. They can live with or without oxygen. Some love it, no oxygen. There are others that are they can do photosynthesis, and some of them are chemosynthetic, can eat other chemicals other than sugar. Pretty cool. Great, unique chemical characteristics we'll talk about later. Here's some more nice pictures showing some of these. In our domain eukaryotes, we have the protistas, fungi, plant, and animals. The fungi, we'll spend maybe a half a day on them. I don't know a lot about those. We'll learn a little bit. Of course, I'm an animal person myself, but I've really become a real closet plant lover. So my upbringing was human aid. I was going to be a doctor, so I was pre-med. And then when I got in grad school and started teaching biology, I fell in love with plants. So I'm a closet plant lover, okay? And so we'll talk about that. We'll cover photosynthesis pretty hard. All this is the stuff we've already talked about. I think it's pretty straightforward. Scientific name has a binomial name, your genus species name, right? And they talking about that again, a little repeat. And that brings us to this almost the end of the chapter, but the process of science. Okay, now look at this. This is really cool. And y'all have all heard of this before. The scientific method, everything in the biology book and the physics and chemistry book are based on the use of scientific method. It has been tested over and over again, and we are 99.9% sure of the facts in all of our science books. And so the way science works is you would see an observation of something you would like to question, and then you would make an hypothesis, and then you would do an experiment to test that hypothesis. And then the beauty of science is once you do an experiment, you probably come up with another 100 other experiments you can do to confirm or disprove that hypothesis. Okay, and in doing this, we take out things like emotion. Okay, and I made a comment today, in my 11 o'clock in this class today, but I didn't make on Tuesday. But science would be real good at who's got the fastest car. And I said, let's all get out here, and Miss Connor can say, I can see her with one of those little, hankies, get on your mark and set, go! And when it hits the ground, we're gonna drive the freaking, co-water. And the first one there's got the fastest short distance car, right? But I used to drive a Prius, but if we said let's drive to with the best fuel efficiency to co-water, then I would win that race, right? So it's all about how we define the parameters of the experiment. Okay? Now I'll show you another example. They're going to show you one here. So observation, hypothesis, prediction, experiments, collect data. Data is things we can measure and collect. And then we can use statistical analysis to determine if it is statistically relevant. Okay? Now I'm going to say something. I don't want anybody's feelings, but every once in a while I'll say a word that may be a little offensive. So I'm going to use a 4-letter word here just for emphasis. And I'll talk to my preacher later tonight I'll ask for forgiveness. But I took a couple of statistics classes. Anybody taken one yet? Miss Connor, you hadn't had one yet, have you? Anybody? Miss Gill? Y'all, I mean, y'all starting out, right? But you may have took some in high school because some schools do it. But I had a teacher one time said this. He said, there are lies, there are down lies, and there's statistics. Let me give you one. 5% of people are hurt by this drug. That's no big deal, right? 95% is fine. And that's usually the confidence levels. If something is 95% safe, we go with it, man. If I do an experiment and 95% tells me that the sun, that Diet Coke is going to kill me, then we probably should drink a Diet Coke or the chemicals in it. Let's say the sweetener, NutraSweet. But what if I came back and said NutraSweet is killing 5% of people? Man, you'd be out here protesting, 5% matter, So it's all about how you spin it. And I'm afraid our media has gotten carried away with everything now. But science is something that I have a lot of respect for, because we do experiments and we have measurable proofs of things, right? And so when NutraSweet was introduced about 30 years ago, they did a study in Europe of about 100,000 rats, and they injected this in them every day, and it was statistically shown to be pretty much harmless to these rats. However, in the original study, a couple of those rats had brain tumors that we did not see in the control group. So control group is the group that doesn't get the thing we're testing. For example, if we're testing NutraSweet, 1,000 rats get this injected into them, 1,000 get a water injection of water. And then we see if there's a difference between the two. And so what if 3 people get a brain tumor in the water, but 5 get a brain tumor in NutraSweet? That would probably be statistically irrelevant unless you're one of those 2 rats that died, right? You get it? So there's statistical analysis, but then there's always maybe some danger. And I will tell you, that's an interesting drug. I probably don't need to drink as much of it. And the people who made it, they sold it to Monsanto that made Roundup, and they since have sold it to another company. So the 2 companies that bought it up have gotten rid of it. So that maybe not too good. Maybe it is bad for us, and we just haven't proven it yet, right? But I like this. Okay, and they're actually going to do one here. They're going to do one here. They're going to show you one. We already talked about that, observation and positive. They're going to do a little one here and show you how it works. And then when you do it, we like to get 5%, 95% confidence levels, right? And you always have a control. I actually worked in this field for a while, it's been a long day, of toxicology, the study of poisons. And here's what we would say. This is what we did. We grew minnows, little fish, and we grew worms, and we grew what else did we do? We had worms, and we had fish and stuff. And if you could not keep 95% of your fish and worms alive, then the data was useless, right? You had to prove you can. Okay, how many of y'all can't grow plants? They have no green thumb. Okay, Miss Cunner would not be good to test chemicals to see if plants are killing, because she kills the plants herself because she can't raise one. So you have to keep 95% of your test animals alive for the data to be any good. And then maybe half of them get the treatment and half get the control. No, the same injection or whatever. And so in doing that, we can come up with this. So right now, let's use real time. The COVID vaccine that we have, they've already tested it and for just to make sure it was safe, and they give it to 1,000 people. And they didn't see any bad effects. Right now, 2 weeks ago, they give it to 30,000 people. I wish I could have been one of them. I would have took it, because I'm a little hypochondriac myself. I'd rather go ahead and take the vaccine now and be in the guinea pigs. But think about that. So we're giving it to people to see if it will just not hurt them, but also will it make them antibodies so that they can defend themselves against the virus. And about Christmas, we'll have that data back, and I suspect the president will override whoever and make it freely available quickly. Russia, very interestingly, 2 weeks ago, last week, they got theirs to market and didn't do stage 3 testing. They went straight and give it to people. They're giving it to the sick and the old people because they have faith in their vaccine. Now, that's not good science in America, but I'm thinking about taking a trip to Russia and getting that shot myself. You know what I mean? Because it is a pretty proven method they use. So that's kind of cool. So our statistical proof is a higher standard than Russia's for this COVID-19 virus. Okay? And so here is a cool experiment looking at cholesterol levels, variations in blood cholesterol. So week 1, you can see that whatever's going on here, cholesterol is going up, then it's coming back down. And those brackets are scientific errors. So this is statistically different from this because of that confidence level, that bracket. So we have a 95% chance that week 1.5 is statistically different from week 4. So those are good things. So when you do an experiment, you want to be able to do the statistics to make it significantly different. And then we want to come up with a conclusion. And now the next thing is really big. We want to report this in a scientific journal, not the Tupelo Daily Journal, not the Commercial Appeal, not Facebook, but a peer-reviewed journal where other scientists try to repeat that. And if they get that to happening, then it becomes a common accepted theory. So conclusions and publishing your work is really important. Okay. And here is the evolution, I believe, is the peer review in here. So here's a couple of books, different magazines that you can do it with. Okay. A couple of famous ones. I'll give you a good example of this. I'm going to back up to the big picture of it right here. But one of my heroes of biology that we'll talk about in a couple of weeks is a guy named Gregory Mendel. And Gregory Mendel is an Australian monk in the 1870s. And he was trying to figure out the rules of hereditary, how our children are like us. And he was using a test organism that was totally, nobody got cared about. He was looking at garden peas. And in doing this, he figures out these theories of genetics that we actually use today. And he is considered the father of genetics. And he died an unknown monk. He was a monk living in a monastery, but his grave is known today because he is the father of genetics. And here's why he is known today, is that he published his results in this obscure magazine like Australian Monk Weekly. I forgot the name of it, but it's random. It'd be like, Mississippi Highway dogs or something seen on the highway. And then he died, and later on, Darwin came up with his theory of evolution, and somebody was going through old books in the library trying to find any records of any experiments that might help prove evolution. Because for evolution to work, we got to have rules to how we pass gene down to our children. Everybody follow me? So in other words, we didn't even know that DNA existed then. This is just, trying to say, red dog breeds red dog, red babies, right? What's up with that? What's going on? And so when he came up with these, this person found them in the magazines, and we repeated these experiments with garden peas, and bingo, top 5 famous biology people of all times is Gregory Mendel. But his contribution still holds today for basic, what we call Mendelian genetics, which we'll talk about here in like chapter 4, 5, or 6 coming up. So we will come back to that. Now let's take a second here, and we're not going to do 2 because I just want to do this tonight with y'all. But let's try this. I do this usually, and I'm going to give y'all a bonus, the 6 of y'all. Matter of fact, I'm going to take a picture of who all's here. Hang on. So everybody, get your beautiful face up here. I'm going to let y'all turn in something for a bonus on the midterm, because I'm going to reward those who take their Thursday night and give it to me, right? For a little while. Here we go. Now she come on. There we go. There's Anna, man, very photogenic. Look at that. There's Kayla. Beautiful people here. I'm the ugliest person in class tonight. Isn't that nice? Okay. Now, here's y'all's homework. I want you to think of a time in your life where you made a terrible decision. Okay? And you should have used a scientific method. Okay? So here's the proposal. Now look, I'm being facetious, but I'm not. I want y'all to make a survey that you would give somebody you would potentially date, where you're going to ask them to answer these questions and give them back to you and find out whether they're worthy to go out with you or not. You with me, Kayla? So when you're going to the cafeteria on Wednesday, this smoking hot guy comes over and goes, "Hey man, you're smoking hot. Let's go out to the movie tonight." I want you to just turn around and say, "Fill this out. You are pretty good looking, but you may be a psycho killer for all I know. Fill this out. Get it back to me. I will check your references and see your answers to my survey. And if you meet my criteria using scientific method, then I will go out with you in a couple of weeks when I get around to grading your score." Now, guys, I'm going to tell you something. If you made this survey out and it had everything that's important to you, and that guy scores a 95 on it, you need to go find him and go ask him out. Okay, and this is a father of 2 daughters. I got a 27-year-old daughter and a 20-year-old daughter, junior at Ole Miss. But if you think this guy is smoking hot and you are lusting after him, and he scores a -5, you need to break your SIM card and destroy your phone and move to Arkansas. Because here's the deal. You're going to fall in love with somebody you date. And if you fall in love with a crazy psychopathic killer, your life is going to be a real bad mess. And you wonder why 60, 70% of marriages end in divorce. Because it's all about lust and not love, okay? But once you fall in love with a crackhead, it's really bad. I can tell y'all. You can't change. It's over with. So I'm already working with Miss Connor. We're not going to let her date no crazy people. Because, man, how many of y'all been in love yet? Y'all been in love? Oh, man, you'll be in therapy the rest of your life if it's a bad person. Okay, you with me? Anna? Anna knows what I'm talking about, okay? So be careful. I mean, we can all find attraction, but love takes a couple of weeks or months. And when you fall in love, you'll sell drugs for him. You'll go steal for him. You'll do all kinds of stuff for her, or for her. It's a word. Noah, listen to me, Noah. It's good stuff, too. You need to know that. Now, look, I've been doing that joke for about 15, 20 years. And I'm going to tell you, I got a girl in South Haven that I knew that had went to some church stuff that I had done. And she took what I said like it was the gospel. Now, don't take it that deep. She had this thing and carried it around with her. And finally, this boy I know asked her out. She give him the form. He filled it out, mailed it back to her. They're married today. He's a computer nerd making $300,000 or $400,000. She's got an RN that she doesn't even use because she stays home with her 3 kids. And they live in a nicer house than I do. So Noah could find him a sugar mama. Noah can only date rich women, right? And you girls can, get a job and take care of yourself. And then if you want a guy, he can be, you can support him if you want to or whatever. Now look. Let me tell you, okay, I literally fell down one time, dying laughing. This girl turns it in. She worked on it, okay? It was like 8 questions. Number 1, most important question. What is your favorite color? Really? You're going to base your whole marriage on favorite color. Do you plan on having children? It's a good question, right? Do you plan on doing anything with me until we're married? References, please. Give me your last 3 boyfriends or girlfriends, or both. How many of y'all have ever dated somebody and they still think the world of you and would give you a good reference? Oh, Anna says she has. Okay, we're going to talk later, Anna, okay? Got to have a Zoom conference with you, okay? I'm thinking. But seriously, if you ever date a guy or girl and their ex will still think a lot of you, even though, y'all maybe broke up, that's not a bad sign, right? If you say their name and they start spitting fire and lighting up pictures, that's not a good thing, right? Okay, But anyway, but hey, look, how many of y'all have a family member that bought a house they couldn't afford and lost it? Or bought a car? How many of y'all been to a car lot and they try to sell you the most expensive car that you can't afford? So you really should use the scientific method to figure out what I can afford, right? And I think it's not a bad idea to use science a little bit on who I'm going to marry. So if Noah goes out to some club tonight and meets some girl up on stage, I would think her morals might not be too high, and the chance of him still being married to her in 20 years are slim, right? Right? But if he meets somebody in biology class on Thursday night, that's a pretty safe place, right? Never know, right? This is a safe place to be. But isn't that kind of crazy? So what's important to you in a boyfriend or girlfriend has been a fun question over the years. Okay? I had a coworker that told everybody and all her children, everybody in class, date everybody. And I went, don't do that. Okay. No, that's a bad idea. Okay. And I meant date, not go to the hotel. I mean, date, like go out on a date. Now, I wouldn't date everybody because you could meet some crazy person and fall in love with them. So have some criteria. Use the scientific method, right? That's what I'm saying. All right. So I'll give y'all like 2 or 3 weeks to give me a survey and hand it to me in class, and y'all will get a bonus on the first test. And we're not going to tell anybody that didn't come to class tonight, okay? Just y'all the only. I'm only going to take these 3, 6, 8 people, okay? So I'll punish these people that don't want to come give me some time tonight, right? I'm not going to punish them. I'm just going to reward y'all. That's even better, right? Control group, really good stuff here. I think we're getting close to the end. And data. Okay? All right. I got one more. We're going to stop. I got one more fun story I'll tell y'all. This is pretty cool. So I'm at Ole Miss, and I'm in grad school working on my master's degree. And they made me, my committee made me take a class in pharmacy called Super Lab. And it's like a 3-hour lab course. And there's like 15 of us in the class. And it had TBA, to be announced, the class time. Kind of like y'all schedule had all that TBA stuff that means nothing, right? Got y'all confused. I'm sorry about that. And so the professor made us all email him our times, our schedule, because we all taught labs and we had classes. And he emails us, y'all, on Thursday night at midnight. It says the only time everybody can meet is Friday night at 7 o'clock. This is the worst nightmare of my life. I just met my wife to be, so I was trying to drive back to Tupelo from Ole Miss to have a date on Friday night, and I had a lab that went from 7 to 10:30 on Friday night. It was the worst experience you've ever had. One night we coming out about 11:30 because somebody screwed up the experiment, and somebody asked me, "Do you want to see the monkeys at Ole Miss?" And I'm like, "There ain't no monkeys at Ole Miss. I've been here like 7 years. Ain't no monkeys at Ole Miss. I know you don't go to the library at night if you don't want to meet a boy. Okay, guys. Okay. There were just certain places you didn't go, at night. And one of them used to be the library. I'm sure it's changed now. It's a wonderful, safe place, I'm sure. But I said, there ain't no monkeys here. So they took me down behind that, what is now the performing arts, the real fancy place where they had the Obama debate, remember, and all. I mean, it's beautiful fine arts building across from education. And there was some Swanson huts, these big old green Swanson huts. And they had a camera before anybody ever had the camera, and they had secret codes. And they went in, and they had maybe 5 or 6 monkeys left down there, chimpanzees. And here's the study they did at Ole Miss. And this actually made the cover of USA Today, and it's a real famous experiment. One of the professors in pharmacy thought that vitamin C might help stop cardiovascular disease. So they had like 100 monkeys, and they give like half of them, the control, got an injection of water every day down their throat, plus the same food. And the treatment group got nothing but fat. They were fed lard, pure lard, and they were given an injection of vitamin C, a lot of vitamin C, like 5 times the normal levels every day, and it comes out in your urine, so it won't hurt you. And they ran that thing for like 8 years, and they killed everybody in the control, and there was still 8 monkeys left in the treatment that the vitamin C stopped them from getting cardiovascular disease. And I've had a glass of orange juice about every morning in the last 30 years because of that. And it made the cover. And later on, I was in a meeting with that guy that did the work, and he had a big old bottle of, anybody ever eaten the vitamin C pills? They taste kind of like jelly bean, like they look like, you can buy them at Walmart, they look like gummy bears. I counted him eating like 82 of those in a 2-hour meeting. Because he did all the autopsies on all the hearts of those monkeys that he killed. Is that not crazy cool science? But the data said that vitamin C might help prevent cardiovascular disease. And if we do that, and it's true, then that becomes a theory. Then if everybody retests it, then it becomes a law or a principle of biology. So law is a theory, a hypothesis that everybody agrees on, and then it becomes a theory, then it becomes a law. Okay? Here's a couple of them we have now, like the cell theory. All living things are made out of cell. Homeostasis. Everybody has to do homeostasis, and everybody is doing evolution. So these are a couple of the theories that we have by now, like Newton's laws of physics are laws now, like, anything we throw up must come down. Some of those basic things we take for granted are laws that we've proven using the scientific method. They do one here quick. I'm going to just let y'all look at this. They look at 2 different antibiotics to see how they work, and you can look down at the bottom and tell that in the control group nobody got sick. But what is that? I'm trying to read it here. Each subject was examined for, they were doing ulcers. And this is a kind of a cool one here. So antibiotics are now used to treat ulcers, right? Because we know most ulcers are caused by a bacterial infection in our stomach. So which one of those did the best, right? Looks like group B or whatever, test group B that got the antibiotic B seemed to be healed better than everybody else. Got more ulcers there, I guess. So we need to avoid that one. Whatever. But y'all can look at that, but it's just an example of a scientific method. Biodiversity is the number of organisms on Earth. They're thought to be 8.7 million. 2.3 hadn't even been named yet. That's pretty wild, right? And what we're seeing right now is we're in the middle of a mass extinction on Earth. where there are species dying, and this is the first time in the history of Earth, I dropped my pen, sorry, where one of the organisms is causing the death, and that is us and our destruction of the ecosystems. Now, I am a tree hugger, sort of, but I will say this. Before we get on the people in South America cutting down the rainforest, when y'all drive back to school tomorrow, I want y'all to notice the great oak forest of North Mississippi that we all cut down. So before we tell somebody else not to cut their tree down, we done cut all of ours down. So it's kind of like your mama telling you not to drink. Let Miss Connor's my daughter. I'm like, now y'all don't be drinking out tonight, Miss Connor. You go out with your friends. Now go fix me a whiskey sour. You know how I like it, baby. Make me too. That does not work as a form of education, right? I've had friends that were that place, and so Miss Connor made her one when she turned 16, right? And then made Daddy one, right? So they do what I say, not what I do is not a good way to teach. So we need to lead the world by example and not just telling them what to do. And we are seeing hundreds of species disappear now. The rainforest is destroying, the coral reefs are going away, and we're really hurting these fragile, that's a new word, fragile, write that down, fragile. These fragile ecosystems. Has anybody been down on a cruise yet and tried to see the coral reefs? I mean, there ain't much left down there, right, in the tropics, right? I mean, this hurricanes and stuff have messed them up. So it's not what it used to be, right? Of course, we get a lot of our foods and medicines and stuff from some of these ecosystems that we may be destroying, right? Wetlands in the Mississippi, right? Flooding. Sardis, Archipelago Indians are lakes to prevent flooding, right? If y'all didn't know what those were for. And then South American rainforests are being destroyed. Lots of problems. I'm going to kind of speed up. And here's one hit close to home right now, right? This was written about 2 years ago, this book. Emergent diseases. Look at that. SARS, H1N1, right? COVID-19, right? So we have, and we know this COVID-19 virus came from Hunan, China, right? And the open food markets, because they're eating whatever it is, whatever it's in. That's a Chinese restaurant in it, Miss Connor. I think I misnamed it, right? Sorry. Okay, but we know the little city in China, with a big city in China, by like the size of Chicago, where this thing come from. But these people in that part of China have these open markets where you can get like a bat or a monkey brain and eat it raw. And these bats, and they eat these exotic animals, and they are harvesting these viruses are in them, and they jump into humans. We probably need to go down there and burn all of them down. Okay, we need to stop those open food markets. Okay, China needs to step up and do that. But that's what's got us in this COVID-19 mess, is that these and we all remember Ebola, right? Ebola from a couple years ago. Ebola kills everybody so quick, it's never going to spread to another country like America. It's just, it would be really hard because it just kills you so quick, you bleed in all your openings, okay? And just in a few hours, you're dead. But the SARS and the H1N1, this COVID viruses are pretty scary. And we've been really lucky that we haven't had a major virus attack us until now, okay? And so we've been really lucky, okay, in the last 100 years. So this is a good one here. Emerging diseases are really happening. And with global transportation, these things can transmit a lot quicker, right? Maybe we should have stopped all air flight into America back in March, right? Or February or January. And it's always easier, and I'm not critical of him, I'm just saying it's always easier to be a Monday morning quarterback, right? Like, we should have done this. Well, yeah, we could have done it a little different. And the other one we talked about in class a little bit, that climate change is really happening. It's getting warmer. We have temperature readings of the last 200 or 300 years. It's getting hotter, and the carbon dioxide levels are going up. And this is a real concern, and most of that carbon dioxide is coming from us burning so many fossil fuels and cut down these trees, which hold that carbon in them. And so we're going to have to, at some point, pay the piper on this and quit cutting so many trees. I got a friend of mine that makes a living in this, where if a company tries to build a big factory somewhere or cut down the rainforest, they have to rebuild the rainforest somewhere in America and pay for it to be built. And my friend builds that for them, and they get these credits, these eco credits, to do things like if they want to tear down cut a forest over here, then they got to pay for another one to be built somewhere else. In Florida right now, the law is if you drain a swamp, you got to build a swamp somewhere else. So Disney World, when they build a new world in Disney World, Disney Corporation is putting a wetland somewhere else in Florida, probably. Okay. So it's pretty cool, and there's a business in that. And at some point, I think it become a bigger deal. This carbon footprinting we talk about. Okay. All right, but anyway, I did. One time we got to blend this in part 2 next semester, and we'll talk about this. And I know a lot of people have a big debate about this. I was actually riding in a car one time, and a friend of mine said, "I don't think God would let us destroy the earth." And it's a good friend of mine, very religious person. I said, "I think you're a fool, man. I got 2 words to prove you wrong: nuclear war." Okay, and we got nuclear bombs that can destroy Earth as we know it, and we need to make sure we don't set them all off, right? And I'm not sure how much, but the CO2 levels are very high. And the last time they were this high, we had a major ice melting, and we had a big ice age after that. So the history of Earth is a story of hot and cold spells, and maybe we're just coming into a hot spell, but we are definitely helping it a little bit with all the trees we're cutting down, and we have data to support that. All right, I think that's it for the chapter, and I appreciate y'all paying attention tonight. Does anybody have a question about the class? A lot of people seem to be having problems about something, they're just confused. So if there's any, and I really do appreciate y'all giving me a little hour and a half or whatever tonight. And I will try to do this once a week. Is there a better time? Y'all can let me know if it's a better time to do this. I actually came back up the building so I wouldn't bother my wife watching some Vampire Diaries or something. They're watching some Netflix stuff. Is that pretty good, Natalie? I have to check it out. Is it good? They're all in it, man. They're crying and they're moving and throwing stuff at the TV. But I do appreciate y'all guys. I know it's been a crazy last year or so, but we're gonna get through this, and I'm gonna help y'all understand this best I can. And y'all didn't ask this question all night, but y'all got to get a little bit braver and ask a question. This is actually pretty easy stuff. I think chapter 1's kind of easy, right? But what chapter 2, it gets a little deeper every chapter, okay? And so chapter 2 is on chemistry, and we'll try to do that maybe I don't know, Monday or Tuesday night or Sunday. I mean, something like that. I don't really want to mess up your weekend. But is there a day that's better for y'all? Y'all may unmic yourself if y'all have any questions. I would love to talk to y'all. Anybody want to talk? I'm gonna unmute y'all real quick so I can hear y'all. Go ahead. Yes, Natalie. Hold on. I think I unmuted you. Okay. Wait. Yeah, you have to do that. There you go.
How do you turn in the chapter 1 short answers?
Okay. You go to that spot in the canvas, and there's supposed to be a uplink there, but I can't see your side. Is it there? Have you been there? I can show you where it would be. Okay, let me show you.
Yeah.
Okay, what's this? Hold on, I'm going to open it up over here on my other computer screen, and I'll show you how to get there. And I know we just did this one time. Okay, I'm going to go back and share the screen now. Watch this. Okay, and here we go. See that okay?
I don't see anything.
That's Miss Nickens' daughter, actually. She's a junior, senior, Delta State. So go to Canvas. For y'all, it's in the student area. For me, it's right here. So go to Canvas. Okay, hang on. I'm trying. Can't see y'all. I'll get it for you in a minute. And then go to your majors biology class, biology 1133-03. Okay, now go to modules, and it should be right here. Y'all should be able to click on that, and it should give y'all an uplink here. Now it doesn't show me, but it shows me your work when it goes in here. Now if y'all don't see that, then I may have set it up wrong. Does anybody see like an uplink in there where you can put a file, attach a file? I'll give y'all a minute to get there. Looks like Natalie's going there. Anybody going there? You going there? Can you see it? Let me see if I can see it. Yeah, does it give you a little thing right there to do a file?
No.
All right, well, I'll have to figure that out. So don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. I must have done something wrong. All right, let me try this again. Let me try it. I may have done something wrong here. Okay, hang with me. See if it works now. See if it's there now. Refresh your memory. Go up there and hit refresh. I think I may have did something wrong. Anything? Nothing?
It doesn't show a link. It just says no content.
All right. I don't know what I did wrong here. It's here. I'm trying to figure it out. Let me try this again. All right, here we go. Oh, I got it. I hadn't done this in a while. Okay, here we go. All right, there it is. Now try it. I just had it set up wrong. It's a file up link.
Okay, it's there now.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Okay. But once I set it up, I'll just save it for another 5 years. It's this new book driving me crazy. See, that's fine, Natalie. Help me through that. Okay, and I'll do the other one. I'll figure out how to do it. I'll have it, but I haven't put the chapter 2 questions up. I'll do that tomorrow. That's my goal tomorrow. I'm gonna probably lock my office so nobody can bother me. But this first week has been real crazy, and I'm sorry. But like I said, I'm gonna be a little bit behind with y'all. I'm gonna be try to stay right ahead of y'all. But I'll promise you, if I feel like I'm not getting my end done, I'll make it up on y'all's grades. You know, I'll be fair. I'll be a little more lenient on turning stuff in. You know what I'm saying? But y'all just bear with me.
So
Thank you.
what about the homework questions and the quiz assignments?
Okay.
What's that?
I haven't set up the quizzes, but I've got Learn Smart. Anybody done that yet?
I did the first chapter of
How long did it take? About an hour?
Oh, yeah, around there.
That's what it told me it would take. So that's where we're going to make up all our class time that we're not doing. And I think that's pretty cool. So I'll get that chapter. I'll get a quiz up, but let's wait and do that last once you've looked over chapter 1, which is pretty easy, right? I may even just do a chapter 1 and chapter 2 quiz. Because chapter 1 is so short, there's just not a lot there, right? But chapter 2, but I'll put a quiz up sometime this weekend, maybe tomorrow. And I'll give y'all 2 or 3 days after I get it up. I will not put something up say it's due tonight. That would be mean. But I'll give y'all time to to do it. Yes, ma'am. Anna. Did Anna have a question? Or I've given her a headache. Did you have a question? Hang on, I can't hear you. Okay, I thought she had a question. I'm sorry, I thought you had a question. Anybody else? Everybody got a question? All right, y'all got to talk more now because we can have more fun here. Okay, we may have to have a special meeting on y'all's scientific method dating survey, right? That could be a lot of fun, right? That could be fun. All right, I'll see y'all Tuesday and Thursday. Is there a better day for y'all to do the? Yes, Miss Martinez has some questions. Only if you turn your camera on so I can see if you're mad at me or throwing stuff at the screen or not. I'm picking. Yeah. Anybody else got a question? Hey, I really appreciate this. That's not bad. That's a 25% of the class, right? Now see, look how I can spin this. We got to be careful that I can come to class Tuesday and go 25% didn't show up, but I can go 25% showed up, 1 out of 4. That's pretty good. Okay, that's pretty good. So it's be careful with statistics, right? All right. Anybody else got a question? Y'all find the book, right? It's in the Connect area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And y'all can use either one, the digital book, and just please you're not going to turn in the study guide. I've had about 5 people email me. I had one girl literally, and I'm not going to say who it was, I don't think she's on here, told me in this long drawn out email that she cannot answer these questions. I can't fill it out. It's not in the book. I read the book chapter 3 times, and I read the, anyway, it's crazy. Crazy. Actually, I think that was AMP actually. So never mind, other class. So we don't have study guides here. But I had a lady, my AMP student's going to drive me crazy. I put some new notes up there, come Miss Connor, and they're freaking out. So never mind, that ain't y'all, it's other class. All right, I'm going to call it a night. I'm already getting tired. I'm going to go watch the basketball game. Thank y'all. Y'all be safe. Be careful this weekend, right? Hey, y'all get a kick out of this. I heard I got a call from my boss that there's teachers been teaching without a mask or shield. My shield counts. Shield is good. So there's some teachers like not wearing anything. They're gonna get in trouble. So anyway, y'all have a good one. I'll see y'all next week. I'll be in my office tomorrow. If y'all have a question, call me. All right, see y'all. Bye-bye. I'm waiting on Miss Martinez. Yes, I'm waiting. Is it Naya? No. All right. Anne's going to sleep. I like that, man. I'm gonna Zoom from my bed, I think, too. I like it. All right. I'll see y'all. Let me talk to Miss Martinez, see what she wants. You gonna turn that camera on? Come on, I'm not gonna judge you. I didn't put my makeup on tonight. There you go. Look at you. You're lovely. Look at you. You got
Thank you. So my schedule got finalized today.
Yay!
That's why I didn't go to school. Yeah, I was wondering if your class is completely online or is it also in person?
Now we meet once a week. So you're in the right class. Okay, you're either in Tuesday 11 o'clock or Thursday 11 o'clock. So look at your schedule, and it'll have it'll say 11 o'clock Tuesday or Thursday.
Yes, it says Thursday. So what room are you in?
We're in 105, Math and Science 105.
Okay. What textbook do we need for your class?
It's already there. It's in the Connect area.
Okay.
Let me
Thank
show
you.
you. Yeah, let me share my screen again. Look at this. Let me find it. Like I said, I'm not a superstar techno person, as demonstrated. But check. Go right here to the Connect, McGraw-Hill Connect, and it's going to take you to go to the class. It'll take you to this class. And here's the book right here. Either one of these. I do, Ms. Martin, I do think they may require internet, but I think there's a mechanism where you can download it. But if you look, this is actually a pretty nice book. Look, this is an ebook. And watch this. It actually there it is. There's chapter 1. And look, it highlights a lot of this. And look, it defines the terms. Look, that's pretty cool, right? And there's a mechanism in here where you can make a marker and you can magic mark it stuff up. I could even mark it up for y'all to know. But basically, blue terms are real important, right? So blue words is good, right? And I think today was mainly this vocabulary, right? Out of chapter 1. So it's exactly, and you don't, so you pay for this too when you pay for your fees, Ms. Martinez, so you don't have to buy another book. You can buy a paper copy at the bookstore, but I wouldn't for $40 if you just want to hold a book. And I tried to get them to do it cheaper, but I couldn't get it down any cheaper. So tuition you may think was high, but that includes most of your books. Almost all the science in Senatobia is using ebooks to save y'all money. Lab books, you have to buy a lab book, but that's different. Okay. All right, I'm going to cut off the sharing so I can go back to talking to y'all. Maybe, maybe not. Or at least where I can see y'all. Did that help? Did that show it to you? And most of the work is in that modules area. We may have lost Miss Martinez. I'm watching her. I'm getting like hypnotic with the fan, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty good feeling.
I'm sorry. I can turn it off.
That's okay. Did that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Anytime. And you can always email me or call me in my office any morning, anytime, 9 o'clock every day, except Saturday and Sunday. All right. How about Natalie? Did you have a question, Natalie, or Ms. Connor?
I'm good.
I appreciate y'all doing this tonight. It just makes it more fun when you're talking, because if not, I'd had to talk through with nobody here. So I'm gonna stop the recording.